Outside of Home Podcast.
Hello.
Hey there.
Hi.
How you doing today?
Good. How are you? How's everyone?
Awesome.
Good. So we're here on the second episode of our Outside of Home podcast. We're a very special guest. So she's Sofia. She's from Uruguay. She's gonna tell us about a little bit about her experience coming into this country. So yeah.
Let's go.
Okay.
So you wanna introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself. What you do?
Yeah, so I'm Sophia, and I'm 23 years old, and I live in Atlanta. And I'm actually a music producer doing regular careers on the side, or regular jobs on the side. But yeah, that's all I really do now.
Okay, that's good.
So for how many years you have been here in the States?
In the States, let's see. I came to America when I was about like 7, and I'm 23 now. So let's do some quick maths.
No, less.
Not 19.
7, 23?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm awful with math, but that's about 15 years.
Yeah.
Around there,
Around.
Yeah. More than you guys.
More than us, yeah. Yeah, that's for
So
sure.
either way.
Yeah. That's good. So tell us a little bit about how was that back then when you first came? How did you feel?
Well,
How was the process?
so in Uruguay there was a lot of stuff going on in between our country. My country in general, it was kind of like, instead of it being like first world like America, it was more like second, maybe borderline third. So basically, my mom had me, and she also had my sister, and she was pregnant with my brother. So she was like, okay, like there's 4 of us now, let's go to America. So that was like her big dream, was to like, get us a better life, because Uruguay had no opportunities basically. So we just packed our stuff with 3 other families that lived in our
Community.
that came to our temple, like religion wise. Yeah. So 3 other people, and we all moved to New Jersey in America.
Okay.
Yeah, we had like what was it, the 6-month tourist visa?
Tourist visa, yeah. B1, B2.
Exactly. But back then things were harder. So 6 months tourist visa, then it's over, but you don't go back home.
Yeah.
No.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go back, there's no way
you're coming back. That's it. You have to stay. That's the whole immigrant status or whatever. Yeah. When I was in New Jersey, my mom had my brother, so it was all 4 of us. She worked like 3-4 jobs a day probably. I didn't see her much, but I remember having a very good childhood. So, but yeah, let's see.
And did you have friends here in the United States when you first came?
Yeah, my mom and my aunt and uncle, they had a few friends here. We moved to New Jersey in this like kind of duplex place, and it carried like the 3 different families in there. So like each one had like their little apartment, and then we all had like a playground outside, like right in front of it. So that was what we did for a minute. But after a while, like one family would get deported, and then it's like, oh no. And then another family would be deported, and then like you're the only ones left, and then your aunt and uncle, the last ones, like they get deported. So my mom's just like, whoa, like things are getting a little crazy. So she was like, okay, well, let's move to the South. Like there must be more opportunities. It must be easier in the South. Plus, there's a lot of Hispanic people in the South. Like if they're always like in California, New York, or like Florida.
Yeah.
So my mom was like, okay, let's go to Georgia. And we went to Georgia. And we just survived out there all that time. Like, she really got everything together. We always had like really small houses, but it was always like a great time and everything. And a little bit of months before that, the final one, my dad that was left, he got deported.
Whoa, that had to be
that's
hard.
tough.
Yeah, it was a little tough. But, I mean, I was a kid. I didn't really understand what was going on.
For sure,
My
for
mom
sure.
was just like, oh, yeah, your dad has to go, and he's not allowed to come back for, like, 10 years. Because if you're deported,
Yeah.
I don't think you're allowed back in America for, like, 10 plus years or
Yeah,
something
after
like
you
that.
like
If
sign a
you-
waiver or something.
Yeah,
for
you're, like, banned.
Yeah.
Don't come back. So,
Wow.
yeah, but we stuck here. I started my mom, she actually married an American.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And she got her papers started. I was under 18 at the time, so if we're all under 18, if my mom gets her papers, we automatically get ours.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, but the problem was that, like, it took so long, I was past 18.
Oh, okay.
So my sister got her papers, but I was the last one that was like, oh, I don't have mine. So I had to restart everything and then
Wow.
finish it, do my test, you know,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Right now, I'm finally not a resident anymore. I'm a citizen, but as of last year in October. But the only thing is that, like, they still, the government has never given me, like, a piece of paper that has, like, my code that I'm a citizen. So,
Yeah.
like, anytime government stuff comes, like I want insurance or like
Yeah.
something like that, they'll be like, oh, you have to display this paper, and I'll be like, oh, I don't have it, you never gave it to me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story. I had a residency card and I was about like 15 or 16, and the residency card that the government gave me, it said I was born in 1988 instead of 1998.
Older than me.
Yeah, it
Oh.
was 10 years older than I was. So every time I went out the country, I was super scared that they weren't going to let me back into the country.
Wow,
I was
yeah.
like, oh my God. That's why I fought so much to get my citizenship. Because I
Yeah,
was like, I'm not getting deported. This is
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
Wow. And what about school? How was that?
School?
Starting a school.
transition.
The transition, yeah.
Okay, so actually, this is like my most favorite topic because I remember learning English. Like my mom in in school, I think first grade, whenever I started getting dropped off at school, I would cry like all day because I just didn't know how to communicate with people.
Yeah.
Everybody was American. There was no Spanish people. The teachers weren't Spanish. Like you were just like, okay, I just don't know how to speak. You're basically mute at the time. So,
Yeah.
but the cool thing about kids is that you could always like, hi, like, can I get this or like
Yeah.
stuff like that. And after a while, you start to learn like, oh, this means come. This means like
Come,
here
yeah.
and stuff like that. I mostly learned English though by watching TV
Same right here.
with
Yeah.
like subtitles and like
Yeah.
just watching TV. I'd be like copying it and stuff and then going to school and using all that together.
Yeah.
And the good thing, like learning as a kid, that's a
It's
good way
easier.
because like
Yeah.
you like learning about life in general, but like by doing that, like with the English, it's like always easy.
Right. And now like knowing like you have a daughter, so like whenever I have children, I need to they're gonna speak Spanish, like no English. I don't even care if you know English because
Yeah.
you're going to learn it. You're in
Yeah.
America,
Yeah.
but you need to know Spanish because none of my family members know English. How are
That's
you gonna
right.
talk to your family?
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
like yeah, that's like my main point.
And
whenever-
something that I have is like at home we speak in Spanish, but then outside you're gonna learn English
English
outside,
anyway.
like
Yeah.
school, like everywhere you go, you're gonna learn it.
Yeah, in
yeah.
school, Hispanic kids, they all go through the same thing. They go through ESOL. Even if you knew English really well, you still have to take ESOL.
Okay.
So
How
like,
long is that process? Like
It's like all of middle school. So like 3 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're like in a special.
Yeah, you
program?
go to like one class a day where they're like, oh yeah, that's how you do conjunctions and how you say words. Because, you know, you learn English, but you don't know how to properly, like, put your
Pronounce.
words together and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, that's why I have
grammatically.
a really good, like, American accent. And, like,
Yeah.
it's not as thick or anything.
Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, you've been here for a long time.
Yeah.
That's right.
My mom sounds just like...
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like us.
yeah.
She has an accent.
Yes,
Yeah.
a very big accent.
And did she know English when she came?
No,
She
not
had to
at
learn
all.
it like.
She learned English. We taught each other. Like we would be
Yeah.
like, I mean, after a while, her kids know English. So whenever I was little, you know, as a person living in America, when you only knew English and your mom didn't, I'd be like 10 years old on the phone with the doctor talking about like, oh yeah, I would like to schedule an appointment
I've
for
seen
my
that
mom,
before,
or like they'll be like, oh Sophia, I have to do something for work. Can you call my boss or something and
Yeah.
tell them this is what I want to tell them? But I like when I was little, I would be like angry. I'd be like, oh no, like mom, you do it, like whatever. But as I gotten older, I'm like, yes, I'll help anybody that cannot talk. I will do anything
That's
to
right.
anyone.
You
like,
live, you learn.
yeah, I work at a steakhouse now at night, and all the cooks are Hispanic, so most of them don't have papers. So like, they would call me. They'd be like, Sophia, can you translate for them and all that? I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. I've done it like literally my whole life, so it's really okay.
Another
That's right.
day.
That's really
Yeah,
No, that's
I've been
cool.
there before, so
yeah.
That's
You
really
need a
good.
translator.
really I do.
No, no, you don't need a translator.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a tough job, especially as being the firstborn and
Yeah,
having
yeah.
all that responsibility. But after everything my mom did for me and everything, my goal is to do everything I can with the stuff that she gave me, because she didn't have an opportunity like I did.
Yeah, of
Wow.
course.
So yeah, so my goal is to get my stuff straightened out so I can give it all back to her and let the circle go around
Go around.
again, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be like the most blissful thing, is just to get her like a little house on a farm and just be like, go have fun.
Oh, that would be
awesome.
Yeah.
nice.
That would
It'd be
Yes.
like just like Uruguay, get
Yeah.
her some cows and some chicken, she'll have a good time.
That's sweet. That's really sweet.
Yeah.
That's really nice. And do you have like a memory that like it was something really hard that you had to go through, like when you first came, like some experience that really
Yeah.
stay with you?
So America, well, being different, because when I was little, I had a lot of like identity issues. Like I didn't know who I was, because first of all, I only know my mom, so
Yeah.
I don't know anything about my
Yeah.
dad's side. So that's half of me gone right there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and not only that, but yeah, like, you know, you go to school and people like are like racist, or
Oh,
they're
yeah, for
like
sure.
they're like, why are you saying it like that? Or they're
Yeah.
like, oh, say something in Spanish, say something in Spanish, or like, you know, or it'll just be like really funny stuff, or they'll think it's funny and be like, oh yeah, go back to your country, or
Oh,
like
that's-
That's
just
not
stuff
cool.
like that, and you're just like, that, like at the time it's so funny. Like when I was little, I used to tell my mom, I was like, I wish I was American.
Yeah.
Like I wish I was American, so they could like be like, oh yeah, yeah, so it could be like, oh yeah, that's my friend or whatever. But as I grew older, I don't want to be American.
And it's a
That's-
blessing being bilingual too.
Yeah. And the culture that we have, Hispanics have the most like beautiful culture, and I'm like, oh my god, yes, like this is everything for me. I think American culture to me is like a little, just a little bland compared to like what we do in my country. It's
Yeah.
like a party all the time, like we celebrate everything. So it's
Yeah.
just like
True.
whatever, and it's not just Thanksgiving, Christmas, it's like
It's
Yeah.
a day for every single thing.
Yeah, and you always have your family around you.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I remember it's different because in Uruguay, I remember this one time we won the World Cup. Or
Oh.
we were close to win. One time I was 16. I was in Uruguay. I went for the World Cup, and because it was in Uruguay, and we were playing really good, and we got to like the semifinals or something like that. I remember we won against Ghana, and like everybody in the whole town, literally, like as soon as the game ended, they all got in their trucks and their cars, and they were all like beeping the horn and going around playing music, tambores, like all of that stuff
That's cool.
everywhere. And I was like, yeah, they don't do this stuff in America.
No.
America, you just hear about like people dying or like all of this stuff, which happens everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
I don't feel like it's like family. Like you're like, oh yeah, you're from here, you're family. Like
Yeah.
okay, cool.
That's good. That's good.
That's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah.
I like that. I mean, it's always good like hearing somebody's stories and like trying to kind of match to every single one of us, because I mean every single one had to go through that process. It doesn't matter if it was like easy, hard, but like every single one has to go through a process, and I like it. I mean, it sounds cool.
Yeah. I really enjoy everything I've been through. Like I said before, before 21, I was probably really angry at a lot of stuff because I didn't understand. But as I grow older and I start to understand more, and I'm like, oh yeah, other people go through this too, and like it's okay, you just gotta grow with it, then yeah, it all works out at the end.
And just being from another country give us a different perspective of life. It give us things that maybe Americans don't have.
Yeah.
So it's always good to be grateful about that.
I mean, it is so nice to be bilingual. Like, I know you guys have accents, but sometimes people can't really tell because I'm like really pale and all this stuff. They can't tell that I'm like foreign or whatever. Yeah. So the face on a Hispanic's face that only speaks Spanish, and you just pop in and you're like, oh yeah, like ¿cómo estás? Like I also speak Spanish, and they get so happy. They're like, oh thank you, like thank you God, like I could just talk and it's fine.
That's
like
true.
It's a beautiful moment. So I'm just like, I feel like everybody should learn like
another
Spanish,
language,
or something else.
Yeah. So you have any memories like before coming here to the States, like that you can kind of compare, or like the biggest difference, as a child in Uruguay and over here, like those big differences?
Yeah,
like,
I could talk about a child in Uruguay and when I was a teenager, and then a child here and a teenager. So as a child in Uruguay, it was really fun. We had we lived on a farm in Uruguay. Like if you have a family, like your cousins and aunts and uncles, they all live in like houses right next to each other, but they're all like big properties. So it's like farms. Everybody has their own horses and cows and chickens and stuff. So that was really fun. Like I always remember just running around. Like there's always like pictures. On all the pictures, it's just big families. Like that's all we did was be outside and have a bunch of big families. When I went back when I was 16, it was a little more updated. Like, they're getting stuff. Like, I went to my cousin's house and he had a TV, but like not a big TV, like a TV like this. And I was like, wow, like you guys have satellite? Like that's crazy. I couldn't even fathom it. They didn't have Wi-Fi yet, but I remember I had to walk a mile every day to the nearest gas station that had Wi-Fi. It was only like 2 bars of Wi-Fi. Wow. But they had enough Wi-Fi for me to like to call my mom or text her while I was in Uruguay and she was in America. I had to do that every day. See, here you can go anywhere, Starbucks, anywhere, and just get Wi-Fi. You have everything is accessible.
And even your phone plan, you have everything right there. Like in my country, it's like, oh no, it's like prepay. Or you
have to put minutes on everything.
Or like, can I have a minute? Like, what?
Yeah, the track phones and stuff like that. Yeah, or even like the supermarkets are different. In Uruguay, you go into someone's house. It's like a literal bodega. Like you go into somebody's house and they have like the fruits and all of that stuff in their house, and they're like, okay, 20 pesos, and then like go away. And I'm like, okay.
Here there's not something like that.
You have to ride your bike everywhere. You have to like tell the dogs like, okay, go away while you're trying to go to the everything.
Yeah, a lot of street dogs in my country too.
Yes, lots of street dogs. You gotta be like, okay. Yeah. So it's really different because everything here is very accessible, and everything there you have to kind of like work to get to wherever you need to go. Yeah.
I guess that's why Latin Americans work so hard. Yeah. Used to it.
So being a teenager here in the States, how that was?
How was it being a teenager here?
Being a teenager here? Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. Like you could do like. It's funny because the stuff that you see in TV is real. Yeah. Like I thought like Americans were so crazy, and they are. Like at 16, you're in high school. Everyone's like, oh, do you want to drink? Oh, do you want to go to a party? I'm like, oh my God, my mom's Hispanic. I have to be home by like 8 o'clock. I'm sorry. I'd be like, that is not enough for me. I'm sorry. I remember whenever I went back when I was 16, the only reason why I went back is because I was not happy in America, like at all. I was like deteriorating. I was like depressed. I was just in my room all day, just sleeping all day.
What was that? Like culture shock or?
I don't know. I was just depressed. Like I didn't like school. school. I didn't want to do school anymore. I felt like I couldn't learn. At that point, I didn't know, but I have ADHD. But like, it was a learning. I wasn't the problem. I just didn't get enough help or whatever. Yeah. So like, I told my mom, and she was like, okay, that's fine. You can go to your aunt's house in Uruguay. And I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, you'll just be around like the farm. You'll just have to work there, like do all this stuff and do whatever. Just go for a year. And I was like, okay, like that sounds good. I went for 6 months. And I was like, Mom, please.
I miss America.
Send me home. And when I tell you, when I got back, I was the happiest person ever, because there were so many things I took for granted. Because, you know, showering...
Oh, yeah.
Like, you have to, like, turn on the heater, wait for it to heat up the water. God forbid, you know, the bathrooms don't even have, like, their own shower. You have to, like, get the whole floor wet and then squeegee it off.
Yeah.
Like, into the drain.
And that's really cool, whoever has heater at their house.
Yes, that's like a big thing.
Like, not everybody's able to.
Yeah, so some people literally bucket, okay,
Oh,
and
yeah,
like washing
I know
yourself.
about that.
Yeah. And people, I tell that to people here, they're like, no way. I'm like, yeah.
There's no way they can imagine something like that, because they've never lived anything like that.
I remember my water heater broke in my apartment here like 3 months ago. I didn't have hot water for like 3 weeks, maybe almost a month, and I would boil hot water. Well, now I have Planet Fitness, so I would just go there and shower whenever I could. But at some point, I like forgot about the Planet Fitness thing. I would boil water and like wash myself, and my roommate would be like, "Why are you doing that? Like, I don't understand." I'm like, "Listen, when you gotta do what you gotta do, you gotta do it, because that's all you can really do." And it's not. I remember Uruguay, and I was like, "This isn't the worst I've been at, so it's okay." Try doing it outside. It's cold.
That's
like,
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a cool story.
Yeah.
So nice.
That's really interesting.
I really like America, but I really want to get like really rich so I can go back and help out like my people in my country.
That's my dream too.
Yeah. Like, I feel like they all deserve everything. Because if they didn't do what they did, I wouldn't be here in this position right now. So.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
cool.
true.
Right.
So that was it for today and our second episode, and that was really good. That was really inspiring, your story, and just the fact that there's no limit for anybody.
Right.
Like, just coming from another country. People, they see us and like all the thing that we can do right here, but they don't know what we went through. And like, that's inspiring. Like, look at you right now, working and what you love, like producing music and all those things. But like, sometimes in our own country we have the same dream, but it's a little bit hard for us to reach that, because we have just a few help in our country, and it's always hard because you make some money, but it's barely to pay your rent. There's no room for anything else. But I really like your story, and like, that's inspiring for those people out there that are watching this video. And let's keep going with this.
Yeah, thank you so much for everything.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Solid State Studios.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe.
Thank you to Solid State Studios for giving us the space to record this podcast.
Share, subscribe, and like this video.
Okay, thank you everyone. Bye.
Outside of Home Podcast.